Ava mama la gali drolo. Ava mama la gali drolo.
Me no kwe la funu dalo. Ome no, ome to, asui. Me la funu da. Ome la funu da. Ome no, ome to, asui. On va pas perdre les voix, dans les voix. On va pas perdre les voix, dans les voix. Perdre les voix, dans les voix. On va pas perdre les voix, dans les voix. On va pas perdre les voix, dans les voix. Bebelevo, adalevo, aguafenya. Mekade o malelo, adala mekade o male pasilo yo. Mekade o malelo, mekade o male pasilo. Mekade o malelo, adala mekade o male pasilo yo. Mekade o malelo, mekade o malelo. Mekade o malelo, adala mekade o male pasilo.
Kneeling at his feet, and he had a red hair. Okay, you can see invocation. I don't want to use this personal invocations of deities and spirits to attract people to my shrine. That's one thing. Those stories were stories I told my children, and then maybe because I am training them to understand and have confidence in this entity called Jopata, which is just a representation in our shrine, and I was to tell them the experiences that I had had with Jopata over the years. So I don't want to use these invocations and some personal details that I had with Jopata as a public thing. I think Sena is the one who is trying to put these things up or on and off about these things. But those are not the key things that I wanted people to know about the deities that I would be. But since you asked the question, I will try to answer it. Jopata is an entity, it's a spirit, or it's a god, or it's a deity. Call it whatever you want. And Jopata had been with me for some time now, before I gave birth to some of my children. And from time to time, in the past, I used to invoke all the spirits that are with me. I invoke a tiny, I invoke a small boy danger, Obubu Yaya, Tabwe Jopata, and many other spirits. I try to invoke them by using the method of the Kabbalah, the Hebrew Kabbalah. There's a method in Hebrew Kabbalah which is used in invoking or bringing the presence of an entity that is an invisible entity, but you can bring it closer to you. It can appear in the form of a human being, and you can communicate, and it can teach you, and you take notes, and then you can work with them. So that was one of the occasions that I came to Ghana, and that was back in 1998, 1999, when I invoked it in Ghana. But I used to invoke it when I was in Japan as well. It's not only here. So when Jopata, when he came, or anytime he comes actually with his servants, about 7 servants who will be kneeling in front of him. He is looking more like an Indian. That's the skin color that came with, looking more like an Indian, but the hair is a red hair, and he was holding a staff in his hand. He was also trying to tell me what I should do and guide me. So I took notes. So that was how it was. But I don't want to use these ones to attract people to my shrine. That is not the purpose of my shrine. And it's not everybody that can invoke a spirit. Some people can do. But then, of course, because I am training my children to be at my place when I am not here, so I am training them with everything that I had known or had learned, so that in case one day my physical body is not here, they can do the things that I had done and then keep the, the relationship between themselves and the spirit world. So I am teaching them, but then it's not like I am teaching everybody how to invoke spirits. But then, of course, if I find someone who is qualified, I can also teach that person to invoke. Because spirit invocation is a little bit dangerous. Dangerous in the sense that if you don't know the spirit very well and you invoke it, you may end up harming yourself. And sometimes you also need to know how to dismiss the spirit into the spirit world so that it does not follow you everywhere and create problem in your life. With all respect, you need to really respect the spirit world, and you don't take it like a joke. And I have been doing this thing all my life. It's not now that I become a Bokor or doing African traditional spirituality. I've been doing this long before I even entered into African traditional spirituality. So it's been something, been a part of my life all since childhood. So I am kind of, I kind of know it better. That's not what I sell out. I'm not trying to promote spirit invocation because it's a dangerous field. It's only the people who have gotten a very good teacher who can give you a direction. It's not something you can just be doing on your own because it can cause you problems. So, Vivian, maybe one day when we meet physically, we can talk about spirit invocation in general, and maybe we can talk about Tobi Jopata. So Jopata is there. That's why we trust him, because we know he exists. And when he tells us things and we follow, we see results. So that's why we know that there is an energy that we can count on. And of course, those of you who are initiated into Jopata, don't be afraid. Just mention his name in times of need and see whether he will be there or he will not be there. Thank you very much, Vivian, for that question. The practical thing is not stop eating meat does not make you spiritual in any way. Maybe health wise, it may help you if your body doesn't like meat. That's why, but don't think that because you don't eat meat, you are spiritual. You are not. Spirituality is a practical thing that you can use to bring changes in nature. So sitting down in meditation and you are only dreaming and imagining things until sometimes you wake up without getting any power that you can make any changes in nature. does not make you spiritual. But then, of course, that is the way Hinduism and Buddhism. But in our African traditional spirituality, everything is manifestations of real things, using nature in its pure form to bring changes. That's what our traditional spirituality is. How Hinduism helped me, benefited me in voodoo, uh, being a voodoo priest is I would just say it's because I have learned so many things, so it gives me that patience to be able to wait and see things manifest so that I can practically see them. Because meditation, as far as Hinduism is, it's more of just sitting down and closing your eyes and repeating a mantra. For how long, only God knows. And then later stories will follow from your teachers or from some other people that in the past this thing was like this. But then present, why aren't you people able to do it as a practical to show us that if somebody can levitate in the past and you are teaching levitation or you are teaching about meditation, and in that meditation they speak about so many things. So if using Hinduism or Buddhism and people could levitate, why today people are following the same path and no one is levitating? But in Africa, traditional spirituality, or in Voodoo, which is the Ewe word for spiritual practice, when your grandfather told you that at a long time ago, people can stop rain, or people can ask animals to behave in certain way, or when you do certain things, certain changes happen in nature. Long away, long time ago, these things were happening. Today, those things can still happen before your eyes. It is not going to be a story form whereby people will just tell story and then people begin to live the story as if they were present when such things were happening. And then it will spread from one person to another, and then, but no one can practically demonstrate whatever story they are telling you. So in learning of meditation, I learned to be patient. Yeah, that's what I can say. I really learned to be patient because at the end of the day, you just have to be patient because there's nothing going to happen anyway. You just have to sit down, meditate for 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, and wake up with your knees and uh, feet getting numb. Yeah, that's it. African traditional spirituality, especially Vodou, which is the word for spiritual practice or spirit of the Aves, you don't need to suffer your body, undergo stress before achieving results. Once the results, once the teacher knows the route or knows the path and teaches you, then of course automatically you too you will be able to get to what they told you. If they tell you that when you do put A and 1 and 2 together, you will get 3. Definitely, if you put the 1 and the 2 together in Voodoo practice, you will definitely get 3. You don't need to be imagining that it's going to become 3. And then you continue imagining until it never exists, and they tell you that, oh, maybe it is not the time. No. Voodoo is very practical. So people who practice Buddhism, Buddhism, Hinduism, may have their own stories, but I have practiced that before and also practicing Voodoo, so I can see the difference in the practicality of Voodoo than any other spirituality that I have practiced before. Because if they say it will happen, it will happen. Because they say people can see, they have third eye. That's one of the main things that a lot of people want to do meditation, to be able to see, to be able to have clairvoyance ability. But how many people practicing Buddhism or Hinduism in the West really have that clairvoyant ability. People will just be imagining that, oh, I think I am feeling something. I think I am doing this. I think this thing is happening to me. You don't need to think. You need to feel it, and then it will be real. It's not like I think it is this thing happening to me. And even if it is just a ordinary dream, people begin to think that they are priests or priestesses or whatever. No, 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 no. In Voodoo, everything is very practical. If you are a priest, you have to be a priest, and you have to go undergo training. It is not from imagination that priesthood came. It is through training that you can become a priest. You cannot just be a priest just because you imagine that you were born a priest and then you become a priest. Unlike in Hinduism and other people who are Western people practicing Buddhism and Hinduism, everybody is imagining things which are not really practical on the physical plane. So that's, I learned that patient that you need to wait for things to happen. But then the patients sometimes never, the things they told you never really get manifested. Like those people practicing a canker. Or, yeah, they tell you that you see the light, you hear the sound, and you feel the nectar. But how many people really have seen the light? And how many people really have heard the sound of Om or had felt the nectar? None. Most of them are just deceiving themselves and also try to just to prove to you that, oh, I can see but you cannot see. There's not, if in Voodoo, if you can see, you can see, you can tell, and everybody around you can tell that you are seeing. So Hades Yogi, that's my stand, and that's what I have benefited. I benefited from having patience. But then when I got into Voodoo, that patience has given me more energy, in the sense that they tell you that this thing you need to take some time before you can see the physical realization. And then I have the patience to wait. That's why I am able to get ahead of many people. Not because I am special in any way, but I have that patience. Even in my general life, in marriage, in raising children, and everything, I have gotten that patience to wait and continue to follow the same thing until it gets to the bottom. So I would say the meditation in general had just helped me to have patience. And that patience finally has paid off in Voodoo for me. Thank you very much, Eugene, Hades Eugene, for that question. A deity which was a dwarf. I was not there. I just told them what is usually done, and I have initiated them into the deity. So when they went into their room, they went and invoked the deity, and the deity came, or the dwarf came, told them the time they should be calling him, gave them the actual time, and told them what we can do for them, and the kind of tax they should be given. So when next time the time he gave them and they invoked him at that same time, it came and started teaching them. So they took a notebook and they started writing things down. So when the key is correct, the door is always open. You don't need to struggle to open a door if you have the correct key. Thank you very much, Hades. He said, I only ask because the first law of Tehuti is that all is mind and the universe is mental. Yes, I can believe that all is mind and everything is the universe is mental. Even though the universe may be mental, the universe is at the same time physical. And I had always said that the plants in the world is what make God, or what the plants are God. And in Ewe we say Amaini means God is the the universe. God is the expression of the world. Whatever you see in the world is the total combination of that is what is God. So even if in Tehuti it is said that all is mind, then of course their technique of doing whatever they use the mind to do to manifest things may be different from the way the Voodoo priest use his mind to manifest things. For us, we know the secret of the herbs and plants kingdom through which our ancestors have contacted the divine being, if there is any, or were able to deal with the universe or deal with the world in which they lived. And these rules and regulations and techniques have been laid down from generations to generation. So whenever we go back to those same techniques and we put them together, what our ancestors had experienced before writing those things still comes to pass. It is not like, oh, it was only done in the past, so today it cannot be done. Take for instance, you come to a voodoo priest, and so this is knife. You use it and cut something. Then you yourself you use a knife to cut something, and you cut, and you know that the knife is sharp. And the voodoo priest gave you some initiation that okay, swallow this seeds or herb, and after you swallow, he now whispers the name of the spirit that can control that knife not to cut you, and that the spirit that he has given to you is that spirit. So anytime you want to demonstrate that knife cannot cut, repeat the name of the spirit, and then after that you can use the knife to be cutting yourself in front of people, yet still it won't cut. And even sometimes you can even give it to people to use to cut you, it will not cut. You know, this one you don't need any mental visualization or whatever, a mental exercise. It is the formula that you need. And once the formula is right, the result has to be right. Unless, of course, there's something wrong with the formula, then you don't get proper answers. So you don't need any mental visualization of whatsoever in this sense. And this is what voodoo is. And that's why a lot of people fear it because they cannot understand how it's working. So they can only liken it to say, oh, it must be coming from the devil. What is devil? Does the devil really exist? You get there, you will find out. Because I don't know. If everything is set and the deity doesn't appear there, there must be something that is wrong. But the people who have been invoking, they will know what is wrong. And they will tell you why the deity didn't come. But in most cases, before you even invoke a deity, there are things that you will do in order to let the deity know that you are going to invoke. That's why I said that the deity will give you time that it is highest or that it is working or it is at its highest manifestation and give you the times and the method to use to call him or her to appear. So if the deity itself has given you all these details and you call it and it does not appear, then there must be something wrong with you or your process. In contact of it, whether the person having negative or positive spirituality, when they come in contact with the bracelet on your wrist, they can feel the energy. So definitely, the people will ask you from time to time, where do you get this one from? Because it is not just ordinary; it has an energy following you or behind it. So that's what will happen. Thank you very much, Olivia. Garlic, avenia, and siosio. Okay, that siosio is we call it dame dame. Some people call it afideme, and some people call it a hagbe. Uh, I don't know the English name for siosio. Maybe we need to ask Senna or we have to use the plant net to find it and probably get the name. So I have never done that one before, so I cannot say what is the English name for Siosio. But sometimes people call it St. Michael's hair, but that I don't think that is its real English name. I will find it and then share with you people at another time. Thank you very much, Heather. Okay, the English name for Siosio is broomweed. Okay, that's why we call it a hagbe. But whether it is broomweed in real English, who says that? Where do you see it? It's a common name in the table that we made. Was it in any other English place that you found that, or you just made those names? We found it in the picture this Who heard that? The app that you use say it's called Broomweed. Okay, okay. Because whatever you people will find must be universal. It will not be limited to only us. So that when people look for it, they can be able to find it. Thank you. So Herbert, that's it. They say the name is of Siosio is broomweed. Just like in Ewe we call it a hagbe because a ha is broom. A bear means weed or herb. So some people call it a hagbe or dame, afideme. And Siosio is more of a guy. It's not a real even name, I think. And then I think they are writing the botanical name is Cedar acuta. Cedar acuta. It comes from the plant family of Malvac. Okay. So that's it. So please, you look for Cedar acuta. And I think recently our brother Baba Wakiri went and was looking. He found a lot and sent me the video. And then it was there. He showed me the video. He found some in his area. So that means you can even find it in the US. Okay, we have our individual destinies, which is every human being has an individual destiny. And also, we also have a communal destiny, which maybe we'll say that is a destiny for mankind. A communal destiny is like all your take for one, like children of one father. They all have their individual destinies, but they all come under one parent or one father who now influences them with the destiny that he has come into, and their destiny has interacted with his own, and he starts to teach these children whatever he knows. Supposing that father is a thief, let's think so, or is a corrupt personality, and these children with their individual destinies have been attracted to be born by this father. So these children will learn the tricks of how to be thieves and also how to be corrupt in life. Because for them, corruption and stealing is normal. It's not a crime. It's not anything bad as such. Because to them, they will look at it as normal because that's what their father and mother or the people that they are associated with had been doing. So it is the way of life to them. So in this case, you will say that such people are having a communal destiny. That's why they all pass through that life. And in the same way, it's also if the father of these children has a good heart and is a good person and is only thinking about progress and development of mankind, the children that will come through him we will have a collective destiny, kind of attached or linked to the father figure or the mother figure's destiny. So whatever they will learn, they will also, as a group, as a team, will think the same way as their parents or their father and mother are thinking, so that they can also go towards developing of humanity and whatever progress is. So human beings have collective uh, uh, destiny as well. Take, for instance, those of us who are born in Africa. We also have all these collective destiny, in the sense that anybody who appears as a black person, things that I wanted, the suffering, the challenges, the difficulties that they go through, in the sense that anybody who general thing for all Africans, things that I wanted, the suffering, the challenges, the difficulties that they go through, in the sense that unlike the general thing for all Africans, who also have the suffering, the challenges, the difficult white man go through, in the sense that unlike the general thing, other will influence you and you all be like that. So there is a collective destiny, and that collective destiny usually comes from your personal destiny. Whatever destiny leads you to, it is whatever you have done in this life is what is going to guide you into the next life, and where you should be born and where you should reincarnate at. So your collective destiny will come from your personal destiny. So if you are able to do things that you want to do to make your personal destiny a good one, then you should be hoping that in your next manifestation on this physical plane, you will be in a community where you can benefit from the seeds and the efforts that you have made today in your life, and that's what will guide you. So, yes, there are community and destiny of humanity, but then it is our personal destinies that have chosen that. If you are born in an area where the people are just bandits manifestation on this physical plane, you grow up in a community where life will take. And if you are born in a, you can benefit from people are calm and learn about good things in life. Efforts that you have made today in your life, and that's what. Once in a while, so you may be born from yes, there are community of the lab destiny. But if your destiny is for you to reach the top, once in a while, some people, if you are born in an area where people are because of their past station on this physical plane, it will you may make them climb the ladder to and get to the top. Even if you are born in a you can benefit from, and that is also the destiny, because when they are climbing the ladder for you today, they are like once in a while influence other people in their community by building the ladder people and influencing others for you to reach also certain once in a while some people, if you are born at the area where people are because of their past station on this physical plane, so your destiny is a very very important thing, and even for that reason you can benefit from, and that is also the best destiny, because when they are climbing the ladder for you today, they are we once in a while influence other people in their community. When you are here and you are very reputable and influencing others for you to reach also certain once in a while some people, if you are born at the possibility of you coming back because of their past station on this physical, you may come back as a tree, and destiny is a very very important thing, and even for that reason you can benefit like that is also the best, because when they are climbing the ladder for you today, they are we once in a while influence other people in their community. When you are here and you are very reputable and influencing others for you to reach also. Thank you very much. That I don't have is my mentor. Whoever knows something that I did not know is my guide. I have no pride, and I say it as it is, and I deal with human beings the way they appear to me. Thank you. Yes, let's go. Bring it into practicality. I don't know how real it is to you, but to me, and it is very practical that I can see and feel and touch. I still wait I don't just keep things in the imaginative state. They must materialize. And that's what teaching about everything in this world is first born in invisible mind, creation, manifestation. This is philosophy. I'm not interested in philosophy. Hades Yugin, I'm not interested in philosophy. These are philosophies that have been written down millions and thousands of years ago. And we are not looking for that. It's just like in the Bible when so many things, angels dancing around God's throne, and we have been here suffering. Why should angels be dancing around God's throne in heaven while we the black people we are suffering here? And the white man tells you that if you obey your master, God will give you this thing. The white man is sitting in an air-conditioned room or a very cool area, and then let you, the black man, work in the sun from sundown, from dawn to dusk. And you are telling me that angels love you, black people, so much, and then they are dancing before God's throne, and your masters are whipping you. If today they are not even using the way people are treated and cheated, a lot of people lock up in jail because of this. You may come back and be destiny, and you are telling me that imagination is more real than reality. But that's for you. I'm not talking about philosophy here. We are talking about practicality of whatever it's said by our ancestors. Creation and manifestation starts in mind. Yes, you were also in God's mind. Yes, everybody, before you become anything, first you have to imagine it. But until it becomes practical, that imagination is useless. Don't you think so? Imagining if you don't manifest it on the physical plane, it is useless. So for us in African traditional spirituality, and especially in Ewe Voodoo, that manifestation must take place, and then people can be sure that what you are saying is real. It's not magic thing on top. If you look at that one, very things like that. So when someone is sick, when they actually is a sick person to me, and then I saw that the person is sick, and then I prayed to my deities, and they said they taught me or they teach me, go get this and get that herb, and I mash the herb and bath the person, and the person's problem is gone. That is a physical materialization of what the gods or the spirits are teaching. It is not just philosophical in the mind that this thing is that. I've read so much philosophy in this world, which is philosophy of creation and all this thing. But until something is real and practical and manifest, you are just that philosophy inside your head is just crazy. Sorry to say, but the way I look at spirituality, I have been into many before choosing this path. And this path is more practical to me and more realistic to me. That's why I stick to it. So that kind of mentality that we are kings and we're queens. So if today you are liberal, you don't even have bicycle to ride, and you are saying in the past you were king. So what? Who cares about your kingdom? You are not king now. You cannot sit on the same table with kings. If in your past life or in your ancestors were kings and queens, where is your palace? Let's be realistic about spirituality. Don't let us use imagination and deceiving or deceit of ourselves to think that that's what it is. Traditional African spirituality is real and it is very practical. And if you are able to get the real knowledge from the real people, you can change your life while you are here. That's what I teach you at African Magic Temple. Thursday, Yao, Kofi, and all these things were not real Ewe names. Those names were adopted from the Akan. Those names were adopted from Akan. And then, of course, it found its way into our Ewe culture and Ewe language. Ewes, when they born the first son, they call Foley. And if they born another one after that Foley, and it's also a boy, they will say Foley chair, Foley chair. And if it's a first child and it's a daughter,
Oh, but I think we can't hear you on this side. You just muted it.
you said, Senna, I can
Just
hear
for a
you.
second,
So
that's why I was asking.
the,
Yes, now we can hear you.
so what happened? Because it has been like that all through.
Oh, it just briefly muted for a second, but it's now back.
Okay, okay, maybe it's the network. Please do it with the monitor. So Aves having the name Yao, Kofi, Koku, Kwame, Komla. These were not originally Ave names. They were account names. So Aves adopted those names into their culture, and now we have those names. When you are born on Monday, as a boy, you will be called Kojo, and if you are a girl, you are called Ajoa or Ajo. Then Tuesday will be Abina or Abra, or man will be Komla or Kobra. And so it is Kwaku, Aku, Yawo, Kofi, and Afi. And then Saturday will be Ama and Kwame. Sunday become Kwasi and Akosia. Originally, these were not Ave names. The Aves have names like they call you Mojinu. The moment they call you Mojinu, the Ave understand that you were born on the way. Means you were not born at home. The mother gave birth to you when either she was going to farm or she was coming back from farm or she was traveling somewhere. So the name automatically tells where you were born. So you're called Mojinu. So as I was saying, they call the first daughter Agwe, and then they will come that if it's a Foley as the first son is born, and the next uh, child is a girl, they will call Foley Hui, Foley Hui. So these were the names of the Aves. And some Afa names also came into Ave names, where you hear the names like Aruba and all kind of names. So Thursday, Sunday, Monday names, I'm not very sure if I can really talk about it because each and every tribe will have their own understanding of that. But originally, it came from Akan names. The Aves have their own names, just like how we have our own year with months. Aves have got 13 months, not 12 months. But these days, people are trying to merge it into the Gregorian calendar by making it 12 months. But the Aves have got only 28 days in a month. So all together become 13 months. So Vivian, and if the Afa priest is also a healer, all Afa priests during the funeral, each one will go and pick herbs and put that herbs into the coffin of the departed priest, so that when he comes back in his next life, he will come back with the knowledge and the intuition, wisdom of herbs, so that in his next life he can still be a herbalist or a healer. That's what it's done when an Afa priest dies. Now, is it to be thrown away? No, you don't throw it away. If you throw it away, you throw the person's destiny away, because the Afa initiation is also your destiny. It's your essay. That's why it is called Monlin Se. That is also the path of your destiny. So if you throw it away, the person you bury will just come back in. If he is able to come back in this world again, he will become a useless person and will not know his way. But sometimes they will worry you even before they reincarnate so that people will do the right thing. If the person was a very strong person, he has to come upon people and speak to oracles so that people will do the right thing. Then they say, can the family use it for something else? No, the family cannot use it because that destiny does not belong to the family. It belongs to the person who was initiated into it, and that is that person's personal destiny. So when that person dies, that personal destiny goes with that person. You don't give it to anybody. It cannot be kept within the family for anything because it will not work. However, the divination chain, which we call the Pele or Humaga, and the Yorubas call it Opele, that one can be left behind for people to use because that is not fact. That is just the Ochiani or the spokesperson of fact. So that one can be left behind. But the fact itself will have to be buried with the person who had been initiated into it. Okay, please move it down. And also, for instance, you assuming the family wants to find out the cause of that initiates death, can they use a kernel of the disease after to do divination to find out the cause of the person's death? The family cannot do it by themselves alone, unless, of course, you have Bokors that are within the family. That's why usually when a Bokor or a priest dies, they try to find a Bokor that understands fact very well and also know the rules and regulations of fact to come and intervene, to do a reading to find out what is the cause of the death. And then the divination will be done, and before even burial, before anything, and when the person is going to be buried, the affair will be buried with the person. The family cannot just to use the affair. If you are not initiated, how are you going to use somebody else's kernels to divinate? You are not initiated. So what do you know? Unless somebody who is initiated is the only one who can know. If you are not initiated, you cannot use affair to divine. I am sorry, but that's what it is. Yes and no. People say, but I have never experienced it, so I cannot say. I don't live on hearsay. I live on things that I have seen. I teach things that I have experienced and I have seen practically demonstrated to me. I don't live on hearsay. People say it exists, but I have never seen somebody be invisible, and I have never been invisible myself. Yes, let's go on. Then we have Hades Yugin again. Baba, are there any inspirational voodoo stories? There are so many. It is when certain things are being done that those stories are shared. But as I said many times, voodoo is a very practical thing, so it is not only stories. You see, when we are in Ebe voodoo, we use Fa as the guide to teach and communicate with the voodoo so that we can learn what the voodoo wants us to do to be successful in each and every ritual or ceremony that we wanted to do. So when you are interacting with your voodoo through Fa, the oracle that will form during that time, there will be a story in the oracle, and that story is going to tell you and will guide you on what you are trying to do. Take, for instance, the first story of dogs and bones, where they will tell you why dogs like cracking or breaking bones. There was a story in that affair which also it is linked to voodoo because if we use affair to work our voodoo or we use affair to get information from our voodoo when you want to do any work. you ask Afa, this work I want to do, which voodoo should I approach to do the work? Then Afa will point to the voodoo that can do the work that you want to. Even though you may have it in your mind that, oh, this voodoo does this way. But if you want to be double sure, you ask Afa again that what voodoo should I use to do this work? And when the oracle falls, the oracle is going to tell you that this voodoo is the one that can do this work for you. Then the Afa Odu will come, and the Afa Odu who is telling you the story, going to tell you the story, and that story will 99% link with what you were thinking of. Like I was talking about the bones and the dogs. A story of, let's say, somebody owes you money, and you want to go and collect your money, but the person is not giving you the money. What you should do to be able to get your money. So in the case of the dogs and the bulls, there is an Afa Odu which says that, what do you call it? An Afa Odu which says that dogs, their ancestors and the ancestors of bones were together. And then at a time in their life, the ancestors of bones went and owed money to dogs. So their ancestors had been trying to collect the money from the bones, but they didn't pay. And then the dogs' ancestors died. The bones also, their ancestors died. But before the dogs' ancestors died, they told their children, their generation, that these people's grandparents have owed us money and they refuse to pay. So anytime you see them, make sure you crack them. That's why today, when a dog sees bone, sees him that you owe my grandfather, you didn't pay. My grandfather told me when I see you, I should crack you. And that is it. And then there is a story where the beard and the eyebrows also were living together. But originally, it was the eyebrow that had been there. Then later, beard came as a stranger to live with the eyebrow. But the eyebrow remains very small. But as time goes on, the beard grows and bigger. It got to a point, the beard began to think that it's older than the eyebrow and begin to claim position just because it's bigger. So the eyebrow was saying, no, we have been here. Your ancestors came and lived with my ancestors, and that's why you are here. This place is not your original place. But the beard will not understand. So the beard and the eyebrow went into an arbitration, and in that arbitration, then the beard, the eyebrow asked the beard, if you say this place has been yours all the time, you are the owners of this place, how come from time to time our ancestors used to kick you out, and you had to wait for some time and beg before coming back, which shows that this kind of thing will happen in the issue of land and dispute. And then how do the bear's ancestors were kicked out? It is when beard grows too much, they shave it off, and it takes some time before it grows. But who is shaving off the eyebrow? So there are so many stories in voodoo, and most of them are linked into fact. It's also about the tongue and the teeth. The tongue is very soft, the teeth is very strong. So the teeth always think that it is stronger and it's older than the tongue. The tongue used to say that, no, I know you are very strong and all this thing, but I'm older than you. And the teeth will not listen. So the tongue said, okay, I'll just wait and see who is older. Tongue, who had been here longer. Before we know the teeth start falling off the mouth, the tongue remains the same. So there are so many stories in voodoo and Fa mixed together that tells you it depends on the situation in which you are. when you do a reading, the reading will point to you the story that has been told, and that story will link to whatever challenges you were having at the time before you were doing the reading to know what to do about it. So hidden in there. And Kabbalah to me is very practical if you know how to use it. So many people can read the books and they may not know how to use it. But for us, my teachers have even taught me how to use certain things from the Kabbalah and mix it with our traditional herbal system, and we apply them and they work. So I would suppose that the Kabbalah is the Jewish version of Voodoo, I may say so. How potent is it? It is very potent. I demonstrate it every time in my shrine with Kabbalah and do all these things together. Sometimes, when it becomes necessary, I teach my students, people who are learning directly from me. And they can also experience it and sometimes materialize them if they want. So Christians use it too, right? Maybe Christianity is a very big field. So when you say Christians use it, you may be right in some ways because majority of Christians are stupid. I'm sorry to say so, in the sense that they are not ready to learn anything new. So they just learn what their teachers taught them and do not want to expose. A lot of Christians don't know that there is Kabbalah, that is like the base of Christianity. A lot of people do not know. So, moment you start to talk about Kabbalah or teach anything from Kabbalistic, this thing, people begin to look at you as devil's advocate, and they've forgotten that the base of the Bible of today, base of Christianity today, was upon the Kabbalah of the Hebrew Kabbalah or the Jewish Kabbalah, whichever way you call it.